Hello, welcome to Vlogmas day 11. I always have to think about that. It's the middle of the afternoon. I haven't really had anything worth filming yet today because it's been going to the post office to mail a gift, going to the recycling depot to drop off bottles and milk cartons and plastic bags. So exciting. And housework. I have been vacuuming and cleaning bathrooms. You don't need to see that, right? But while it's still quiet in the house, thought I'd just do a quick intro. It's a grey day. It rained all night, I think. Wasn't doing anything when I went out. It was just cloudy, but it looks like there's probably more rain to come. It's not cold enough for snow, so probably not snow until I think the middle of the week. At least that's what the forecast said. I haven't quite finished my housework yet. Just got the kitchen to do. Before I go on, I should say I'm Nicola. This is Stitches and Slapdashery. I live in British Columbia in Canada. And I like to make stuff. One of the priorities I had for this cleanup was, as I was vacuuming, I wanted to tidy around specifically the living room, because there was lots of clutter that had been hanging around for a long time that didn't need to be in here, and it could be relocated to better places in the house or just recycled or tossed out. So what I did today, I moved the candles that were on the coffee table and I put them on the dining room table, because it's a huge dining room table. It seats 8 and there are 5 of us, and we're not expecting more than 8 guests anytime soon. So then we're not expecting any guests anytime soon. It's just us for Christmas as usual. So I made room for the new, what you call it? Yeah, jigsaw puzzle, that's it. So the jigsaw puzzle that I bought in Victoria is this one. It's the dogs. It goes well with my dog cross stitch that I just finished. And so I cleared the decks and I have spread it out. Of course, as I tipped all the pieces onto the table, I couldn't resist sorting out some of the edge pieces because it's so appealing. But I tore myself away from it so I could carry on with the cleaning and making myself a cup of tea. So yesterday when I put the TV on, I put the crackling fire video on. It felt so cozy. I really think that we lost a lot when we stopped having a fire at the center of the house. It's been replaced mostly by the TV, hasn't it? So now what we do is we put a fire on the TV and we have the best of both worlds, but without the smoke and the blackened ceilings. So this is today's thing. I chose one with a smaller fire and more of a hearth place. Not a hearth place. What am I talking about? A smaller fireplace and a bit of brickwork, because it kind of fits in with my chimney breast better. And I didn't want Christmas music. They have some that have Christmas music on. You just got to search fireplace on YouTube, right? And you get some with Christmas stockings hanging up and old-timey Christmas music, but I didn't want that, especially as I'm going to be in the kitchen banging about with the vacuum cleaner and the dishes. So it's not like I needed to have music on in here. And I rather like just that crackling sound. It's very, very calming. I love it. I made quite an extensive to-do list for today. I did do everything on my to-do list yesterday. Although I have to say, the little bit of yoga I did in the evening was a little bit inadequate, but at least I did get on the floor and do some stretching. Today, I have done some of the things on my to-do list, but hey, it's only about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's at least 6 hours of the day left, so that's fine. I need to pressure cook some beans for dinner. I'm making quesadillas. So that will be easy. I just cook some beans and sort of blend them up with some spices and things, and then slap them on some tortillas with some faux cheese and maybe some jalapenos and something like that. I kind of make things up as I go along. One of the things that absolutely drives my youngest son nuts is that I don't seem to be able to A, follow a recipe, or B, duplicate a recipe more than twice. Same. Because I tend to adapt recipes and not always write down what I did to adapt them, or I just don't have a recipe. It's in my head and I make it up as I go along. So he wants to write down, as he was learning how to make things like pasta sauce or pizza or lasagna or whatever, he wanted to have a specific concrete recipe he could follow. And I would show him the recipe in the book, if there was one, and say, well, this is the recipe, but I take these two things out and I add these two things in, if I remember. So, yeah, he gets a bit annoyed with me sometimes. But hey, that's what mums are for, isn't it? Annoy their kids. Oh, nice bit of Yorkshire tea to get me energy booted up for the next bit of cleaning. It's just the kitchen. As I said, I've really got to just mop the floor. I sorted the dishes out in the dishwasher earlier. And of course, when it gets to the middle of the afternoon, then you start to think, well, okay, if I finish this job, do I have time to go start something like sewing a sweater? That's one of the things on my to-do list, was sewing a fleece sweater today. Probably only take a couple of hours, but I like to make it all in one fell swoop. I don't like to stop halfway through and go cook dinner or something like that. So what I might end up doing is leaving it for this evening. So I'll try and resist the pull of the sewing machine until after dinner. I think that's probably the best thing. Well, I just talked for 5 minutes without my microphone on, so I've put it on now, and I'm going to have to say all that again. Plan came together well. We had dinner. I came down here afterwards and got the sweater sewn. It took an hour and a half. I've made this pattern a number of times already. It's this Burda pattern here, Burda 6476, and I make view A, which is the one with the cutaway front. And I usually make this for myself. I usually make the 18, which is the largest size in here, because retail patterns, like the standard pattern companies, they're nothing like retail sizes. So you have to look at the body measurements, because these are based on sizes from way back when, not the vanity sizing that we have these days in the shops. This one I made today is quite a bit smaller. I made the sleeves a little shorter. Hang on, was it the sleeve or the body? I think I made the sleeves a bit shorter. And where I extended the body a bit for myself, I did not extend the body today. Apart from that, it was pretty standard size 10. And this is the same fabric, of course, I made my own in. It's got a nice cozy collar. What's nice about this collar is you can wear it up over your chin if it's chilly, or you can fold it down in half, and so you can wear it 2 ways. The sleeves are pretty long. They're long in the design, and I don't mind that because I can always fold them back. Hopefully the person I'm giving it to will find it suits them. I managed to get the pattern centered on the front. I managed to get the collar centered on the back and the front. One of the ones I made, the center back of the collar was off, and it's rather noticeable, but never mind, it was just for me at the time. So that took an hour and a half. I filmed pretty much all of it. I tried to mix up the angles a bit. I'm not obviously going to leave all hour and a half in it. So you will have already seen that, because what I will do now is I will put it all into my app and I will edit out or speed up or whatever I need to do to make it work. And hopefully you'll find that interesting. One thing I was going to say, the needles I use for sewing knits are these Schmetz, bleh. See if I can say this, Schmetz Stretch. They are size 7511. Yep, it's a fairly fine needle, but fleece is so easy to sew through. It's awesomely easy. So I use a stretch needle. I use a walking foot, because that way you get the even feed, and then you don't get the sort of pushing a big pucker of fabric ahead of the foot like you would with a regular pressed foot. And this time I used a very slight zigzag. My stitch length, I think, was 2.5, and the width was 0.5. Sometimes I just do a straight stitch. Sometimes I'll run 2 lines of stitching down a seam if I think it really needs the strength. This time I did this very, very narrow zigzag, and I think it's going to work fine. It still allows a little bit of stretch in the fabric without busting the stitches, hopefully. I don't think it's going to be put under a lot of stress, unless someone decides to have a tug of war with it. I really love this fabric. Ah, it's so fun. Okay. Oh, and if you noticed what I was using, instead of pinning the pattern pieces to the fabric, I used these homemade pattern weights. There's just a little triangular bag with, I think, beans inside, a little bit of ribbon. They work. It saves me having to pin the paper to the fabric, which saves your pattern. Another thing I don't do is I don't cut into the pattern for different sizes. And the beauty of that is you can make multiple sizes of the pattern because you've never damaged it. So I just fold it back along the line I want to cut along. And it does take a little while to get used to doing that, especially around curves. Because sometimes when I first started out doing this, I'd be cutting a curve and realizing I was going that way when I should have been going that way because, you know, I could see the line on the pattern going that way. Yeah, haven't done that in a long time, thankfully. And haven't had any problems with it. You know, my channel name is Stitches and Slapdashery for a reason. And the good thing about things like fleece is you can fudge it really well because it's stretchy. And if things don't match up too well, you can usually ease them quite nicely. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. By the time I make that footage of the sewing manageable, I'll still have a plenty long enough video for today. But I'm glad I got that done because that's a Christmas present. So that's another thing off the to-do list. There's nothing better than crossing something off your to-do list. That's for sure. Okay. So that'll be it for day 11. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. I hardly ever say that. It annoys me when other people do it all the time, and I occasionally do it, but I put a little doohickey on my outro. If you see my outro with my Stitches and Slapdashery, like, share, subscribe. I have this sort of little seed of an idea in my head that when I get to 500 subscribers, I'll do a giveaway. So I might well do that. So if you do get the chance to share this in your own social media or recommend me to a friend, then I can hit that 500 to 100 subscribers. Maybe do a little giveaway. Maybe sew something for it, a little bag or something. No specific plans for that at this point. It's just an idea. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you tomorrow.